Okay. Yeah. So you have some questions here. Okay, I'm still not clear about objects of mind. Please enlighten me. I cannot enlighten you. Even Buddha cannot enlighten you. Buddha only point out the way. You have to work to enlighten yourself. Okay? But object of mind, so it refers to so Dhammaramana. Okay? So objects, they are object of the mind door. The eye door, which is visible object. Object, ear door, which is the sound. Okay? So nose door, which is the smell. Okay? So tongue door is the taste, and body door is the sensation. So sensation actually is consisting of earth element, fire, and wind element. Okay, not including water element. Okay, water element is a subtle materiality. Okay, not experienced through the body door. That's why I say you put your hand in the water, you don't feel the water element through the body door. Okay? So, and then what else? So these five sense door have their own respective objects. Okay? And then the mind door. So mind door actually can experience everything. Okay, all these object of the other sense door, visible object, sound, smell, taste, touch. Okay, every time you experience through this five sense door, is immediately reflected at the mind door. Okay, and the other day we mentioned the thought process, right? First the sense door, thought process. Okay, then immediately after that, they reflect at the mind door. There's a mind door thought process. Okay? That experience the same object, okay, that you experienced earlier at the respective sense door. Okay? So, but there are also this object called Dhammaramana. Sometimes they translate as mental object. But some disagree with this translation. In the world of Buddhist scriptural studies, there's a lot of argument about translation. Sometimes split hair. Okay? Because they say if mental object, everything is also mental object. Everything can be experienced mentally. Okay? So I translate it more as mind only object, mind door only object. Object that can only be experienced through the mind door. Okay? So this includes sensitive materiality. We mentioned sensitive materiality the other time. Eye sensitivity, ear sensitivity, nose, tongue, body sensitivity. Okay? So this can only be experienced at the mind or heart base also. Okay? So this cannot be experienced through the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body. Okay? Only through the mind door. Okay? So then there is the subtle materiality, Sukuma Rupa, including water element, nutriment, life faculty, material life faculty, and so on. These are very subtle materiality. Right? So, which can only be experienced through the mind. Chitta also can only be experienced through the mind. Mind. Right? You cannot experience chitta through the other five sense door. Cetasikas also, mental states. And there's another one. What is it? Nibbana. Nibbana, you cannot see Nibbana. You cannot hear, you cannot smell, taste, touch Nibbana. You can only experience it through the mind. Okay? So these are what we call the Dhammaramana, object of the mind door. But actually object of mind door is everything. But object that can only be experienced at the mind door is Dhammaramana. Okay? Okay. Are you enlightened? Wonderful if like this you can get enlightened. In Buddha's time, probably there will be people with paramis. Listen to this. Maybe you can get enlightened. This one is not a question. Okay. Yogi usually will go through insight by sequence, or could it happen randomly? No, by sequence. Okay? It's how to say? What to say? It's how to say? When you note in the method of Satipatthana, okay, you naturally happen in this way. Okay? The insight will have to unfold in this way, according to the stages, the 16 stages of insight. Okay? Cannot pick and choose. First, you have to get the vipassana object, right? Nama rupa clearly. Okay? Otherwise, you cannot develop vipassana. Right? That's the first insight. Right? So, yeah, I explained this already the other day. Okay? Then you have to discern the conditioning. So, naturally, once you can discern nama rupa clearly, naturally you start to also discern how they are bound together in a cause-effect relationship. Okay? Yeah, it's very natural. You experience it like this. Okay? So once you can see it arising from conditions, then you see it arising. Right? You see appearing, arising. Okay? And once you can see it arising, you keep following the arising. Naturally, when the mind clear enough, you begin to discern also the disappearing. Okay? So the third insight, sammasana jnana, you see arising, diminishing, disappearing clearly. Okay? Naturally you happen. But third insight is just slow. Because mind is not really sharp enough yet. Okay? So then you keep noting. I say anupassana. The only way. No. Mind gets sharper. Come to the present moment. Then Udayabaya, come right to the present moment. You see, the moment it arises, it disappears. Okay? Very, very fast. Okay? So it's a natural progression. Okay? And you keep noting some more, get faster still, until you reach Banganyana. Then even the arising cannot be discerned anymore, because it's too fast, just disappearing. Okay? So it follows this progression. And then once you see disappearing clearly, the anicca very clearly again and again, then naturally the dukkha jnana will arise. You see the fearfulness, the terrifying nature, bhaya jnana, adinava jnana. You see the danger, the miserableness. You see until nibbida jnana. You become weary of it, disenchanted. Mind turns away, wants to be free. Then mencintu kamnyata jnana, desire for liberation arise. Then you have to step up effort, note more precisely, more clearly, the nature of impermanence, suffering, non-self. Then patisankha jnana, knowledge of re-observation. Then after that, you keep noting sharper, the knowledge becomes more and more mature, a stronger detachment, equanimity becomes stronger and stronger. Finally you come to Sankarupika. Might become equanimous towards formation, very stable, very steady. Then the insight deepen further, deepen until it's completely mature. Then the mind goes towards Nibbana. So Anuloma, it's a conformity language, and Gotrabu, then Maggaphala. Okay, it goes towards that. It's an irreversible process. Once you Anuloma, you cannot turn back anymore. So before you go in, you better decide carefully whether you want or not. Yeah, some people stop there. Why? Bodhisattva vow. Take vow of Bodhisattva. You want to be Buddha, then you cannot go through. Because you go through, it means Arahant. That's the end of your Bodhisattva vow. So you have to give up the vow. Okay? If you want to go through. But those who have received the assurance from a living Buddha, like the ascetic Sumedha, he has received in the presence of the living Buddha at that time, Dipankara Buddha, the assurance that in the 4 incalculable periods and 100,000 world cycle in the future, he will definitely become a Sammasambuddha. Okay? So once he received this sure assurance from a living Buddha, because the words of the Buddha always come true. So that's why Buddha do not speak lightly. He do not make prediction lightly. So before he give the assurance, he look into his mind, see whether he has the necessary qualities to undertake this vow of a bodhisattva. So only if Buddha can see he has these necessary qualities. He's willing to work for it. He will definitely be successful. Then only he gives the assurance. Okay? So once he receives the assurance, he can never go through beyond Sankarupeka. Okay? Until the last life, as Siddhartha Gautama. Then only he can go through. Okay? So so it's a natural progression, this 16 insight knowledges. Okay? You practice correctly, properly, you naturally go through this 16 stages. Okay? Except if you are Aryas. Arya different. Arya, they can just start at the 4th insight, because they are already familiar with the first 3. Okay, so Sotapanna, you want to strive for the higher path. You just sit down, note a few times, rising, falling, rising, Udayabaya. Because immediately he get the object clearly, the conditioning, or the arising, disappearing clearly. His mind sharp. All he do is note a few times, depending on how long he has not meditated. He has not meditated for a long time. He has to note longer, to overcome the hindrances. Once overcome, mind he knows how to direct the mind immediately. Udayabaya. Okay, so Aryas skip. Okay, if you are not yet, then cannot skip, because you are not familiar with it yet. Okay, so you cannot go randomly, cannot jump about. Okay, you may go up and down, up and down. Okay, usually yogis in a long retreat, you go up, cannot fall down. Snake and ladder, I go fall down, go many times before finally reach to what number? 100. Is it normal for an object to be super slow, almost like crawling, even though the mind is bright and clear, noting clearly? Feeling of impatience and agitation arise. If we switch noting to sitting and touching, wouldn't that alter the reality that's arising at the moment in time? Do clarify. Okay. Do clarify better, not enlighten. Normal. Yes, normal object, super slow. When you're noting is slow, the object also super slow. So especially in the beginning, noting is slow. Okay, so as the noting develops, it gets clearer and clearer. Then objects start to appear. When mind is clear, it see more things. The object will come one after another faster. Okay? And the noting also will be faster, picking up this object one after another. Okay, so in the beginning, if your mind imbalanced, usually slow, especially not enough energy, slow. Okay, so later on as you develop, you get faster. Okay, so you just need to be patient and keep working using the basic instruction. Okay, impatient. If you feel impatient, mind agitated, note. Impatient, agitated. Okay. Yeah. So, vipassana meditation, it needs a lot of patience. Patience leads to nibbana, as they say. Okay, you're impatient. Why so slow? Push it faster. Go, go, go. Suit bear. Take the whip faster, faster. That's counterproductive. Then you stress up your own mind. Okay? You stress out your own mind, then it's counterproductive for the development of insight, because your mind is stressed up, tight and stiff. Object cannot be discerned clearly. Okay, so you need to relax the mind, soft, feel patiently. Feel not clear, never mind. Move on to the next object and the next and the next. Rising, rising, rising. Not clear. I don't. Hey, clearer lah. Not clear, just move on. Next rising, next rising, next falling, next falling. Keep noting. Okay, it's like when you sharpen the knife, you cannot sharpen, just rub one time. Oh, sharp already, right? You have to patiently sharpen. Keep rubbing it on the whetstone. You have to be patient. You have to hold it every time at a certain angle. You cannot simply hold any angle as you like. You hold precisely at the angle. I must patiently sharpen, sharpen. Right? So when you note object also, you must note precisely. And a precise angle hit the target. Okay? And I must patiently keep sharpening your mind. Okay? You rub many, many, many times before your knife is sharpened. Your mind also. You have to keep working, working. So, especially nowadays, especially if you are, because nowadays people are very busy. Okay, so you work outside, a lot of things to do, a lot of activities. No activity, also you find activity. So your mind is full of disturbances. When you come for a retreat, it will take time to clear away all these hindrances. It may take a few days of persistent, relentless noting, working patiently with the basic instruction before all these hindrances we cleared away, and then you get a little bit clarity. Okay, so you need to be patient. And need to exert effort. Okay, so when it's so slow, I need to make sure don't let the mind sink. It's so slow, usually the energy goes down. You have to exert the effort. Make sure the mind stay afloat. Keep noting, keep noting. Okay, so but make sure you work balance energy. Okay, not the pushy energy. Okay, energy is directed. It must be soft, peaceful energy, but persistent energy. Energy that is directed, not to push, to force, but directed to feel, tune into the object, feel, sense it. Okay, patiently work like this. And make sure note the hindrances as and when it arises. Okay, so impatience arises, make sure you note. Agitation arises, make sure you note. Okay, make sure the mind is always clear, clear from defilements. Okay, so you must learn to recognize defilements as and when they arise. Okay. So you can know when defilements is present. Mind is there's some stirring in the mind. Usually, mind is like you don't feel comfortable. Okay, so sense desire arises, the mind is the mind is not settled. Dosa, ill will, of course, the mind is very uncomfortable. Restlessness, worry, anxiety, remorse. Then the wavering doubt. Self and torpor is a different kind. Self and torpor. The mind just refuses to work. So you can feel. You must learn to recognize the hindrances. Be sensitive. The moment is there. Mara, I know you. I see you. Okay? Then only you can take steps. Imagine Bodhisattva meditating on the Bodhi tree. The army of Mara come, he still don't recognize. Keep meditating. So the army will overwhelm him. Right? Okay. If we switch to noting to sitting, touching, wouldn't that alter reality that's arising in the moment? Well, sitting, touching is also reality in the moment. Right? You're not altering anything. You're just switching from one reality to another. Okay? Rising, falling is arising, yes. But if it's very subtle, you cannot discern it, then you switch. Okay? Doesn't mean that the sitting, touching is not there when you don't know it. It's there. It's just that you switch your attention to it. Right? You are now in Malaysia. Does that mean that America does not exist? Right? It's still there. It's just that you are not there experiencing it. Right? So, so you're really only altering the reality if you get involved. The noting might get involved. Pushy, touching. Is just noting, touching in a detached manner. You go add some more touch, push. Then you're altering it. You're just there, touching. It's naturally occurring, the experience of touching. Okay, you just bring your mind there and watch. Okay, so the television channel is already there. You're just switching, tuning into the channel. Right? You don't go and act in the show. Or don't be the newscaster, give commentary. Okay? You just step aside, watch, quietly watch. Don't get involved. Okay? And then you don't alter it in any way. Okay? Yes. So I find it challenging to maintain continuous noting when the object becomes very subtle. What is your advice? So it depends. So if in the beginning of your practice, when the noting mind, when you are still developing the noting mind, when it's not sufficiently developed yet. Okay? So when the object becomes subtle, like when the rising, falling becomes subtle, you cannot discern, cannot feel, then you switch. Switch object, switch to a clearer object, like sitting, touching. Okay, so in the beginning, the grosser object will help to hold the attention of the noting mind longer. Okay, so your object become very, very subtle. You cannot hold the attention of the noting mind. Then you switch. Okay, don't wait there. Wait for it to become clear. Okay, immediately switch to a clearer object. Sitting, touching. Okay, so sitting, touching also. The touch points. You must choose touch points that are clear. Don't choose touch points which are not clear. That you have to, where you have to struggle to feel it. Okay, choose cross touch point. Okay, so so when the noting mind not sufficiently developed, you switch. Okay, but once the noting mind is sufficiently developed, means the noting mind can note continuously, precisely, clearly, is flowing with momentum. Okay, then pick up one object, another object, continuously. Okay? As little hindrances to disturb, hindrance arises, so cannot immediately and dispel immediately with noting. Okay, the mind, you feel the noting mind is steady, stable, it does not shake when the object is difficult. Okay, so even when the object is attractive, it doesn't shake it due to desire. It remains steady. So once the noting mind is well developed, then if the object becomes subtle, and it can become subtle, okay, then make an effort to feel, to discern even the subtle objects. Okay, so to do that, you have to first soften the mind. Okay, soften the mind, okay, and with effort, tune into the object. Okay, tune and then sense it, make effort. Okay, okay, so when the noting mind is well developed, it can go and feel even subtle object if you make effort. Okay, so you have to train the mind also eventually to pick up even subtle objects. Okay, don't forever just stay with noting gross object, because the ultimate final object of the practice is nibbana, the unconditioned, which is beyond all conditioning. That is a very subtle object. Okay? So you have to train the mind. Okay? Even subtle object also must learn to note. Okay? But only once the noting mind is sufficiently developed. Okay? Usually once the noting mind is sufficiently developed, it can, for the most part, pick up more and more subtle objects. Okay, it's just that sometimes the object can really become so subtle that is, even though your noting mind well developed, it's still beyond the ability. So you have to push the limit. They say push the envelope, go further, to improve the noting mind. Okay, otherwise it's stuck. You must always your practice must always be progressive. Always look to improve your practice. Okay, that's why the attitude. Don't say, same one. You say same one, that's it. 20 years also same. The mind must keep reaching. Okay, now like this. Now, is there any more? You keep looking, keep noting. You must have this curiosity, strong interest, to keep exploring deeper and deeper and deeper. Right? Then only your practice will be progressive. Okay? Okay. Okay. Is vipassana pain due to imbalance of the four elements? No. Okay? If the four elements are imbalanced, it's the normal discomfort, pain in the body. Okay? So like you sit too long, the elements become imbalanced. Okay? Too hot, or too hard, too stiff. Okay? So element become imbalanced. Okay? So that is not the vipassana pain. Right? So vipassana pain is a pain that comes with the development of vipassana, development of insight. Okay? Insight into dukkha, sankhara dukkha, dukkha due to nature of conditioning. Okay? So when the mind is noting clearly nature of dukkha. Okay? What's the nature of dukkha? What's the characteristic of dukkha? I just mentioned last night. That's what? Arise and cease. She is right. Cessation. I mean oppression. Oppressive. Okay? Continuous, never-ending oppression. Rise and fall, rise and fall. Breaking up your existence, being torn apart again and again. Birth and death, moment to moment. Okay? So that one comes only when you are noting. And the noting mind is very clear. You can discern the characteristic of dukkha, the oppressive nature. Okay? So that is vipassana pain. Okay? So that one, if you stop meditating, it disappears. Okay? Because you are no longer noting the characteristic of dukkha. It will stop. Okay? You start meditating again when the mind is clear again, again you come back. Okay? So that is vipassana pain. They call meditating pain sometimes. Okay? It comes with the clarity of mind. Okay? With clear knowledge. Okay? So imbalance of element, you stop meditating, it's still there. Okay? So wind problem internally. The wind is imbalanced. Okay? Whether you sit, you get up and stand, you walk, it's still there. That one doesn't stop when you stop meditating. That one stop when you take medicine. You see, that's why when Buddha talk about cessation of suffering, okay, so it's not that ordinary dukkha that you experience in your everyday life. It includes that, but more than that. Okay, so the Buddha is talking about suffering due to nature of conditioning. This is what drives the process of dependent origination. It brings about the continuous birth, aging, disease, death in samsara. Right? So that type of dukkha, you can say existential suffering. Okay, so the purpose of practice Noble Eightfold Path is to solve this problem, existential suffering, the suffering that comes due to conditioned nature of our existence in samsara. Okay? So, of course, there's other type of suffering, which are actually also due to conditioning. Okay, so like you have headache, that one you don't need vipassana to solve. You take Panadol, it's solved. You're stressed in your work, take tranquilizer. Or go holiday. It also solve, but temporary only. Okay, ultimately you have to solve the ultimate problem of dukkha, due to that nature of conditioning. As long as you're still tied up with a conditioned existence, an existence that is constituted of the five conditioned aggregates, okay, this problem of suffering is there. Okay, this is the problem Buddha wanted to solve. Okay, so when the Bodhisattva renounced the world to go into the forest, meditate, he was seeking for a solution, a cure to this problem, this existential suffering. Okay, so not just a temporary relief from suffering. You do good, you do dana, you reborn in the celestial world, Devaloka. You enjoy yourself for such a long time, thousands, even millions of years. Okay, temporary. That one. Okay, after maybe a few million years, you have to pass away from there, because they're also impermanent. So when you're reborn, all your past unwholesome karma is waiting for you. You see, there's a danger in samsara. Okay, because it's been so long, since the beginningless beginning of samsara. How much karma you have accumulated, both wholesome and unwholesome. Actually, more unwholesome karma than wholesome karma. Because most of the time, the mind is inclined towards akusala. So, without guidance of the Dhamma, so usually the mind is bent towards akusala. Okay, so much akusala waiting. That's why Buddha says that most of the time being in samsara, they are reborn in the woeful states. Most of the time. Late Bhante Suwano used to say, the four woeful state is our permanent address. Once in a while we come out here, holiday, human world, deva world. But most of the time in the woeful state. That's the danger in samsara. That's why now opportunity come across the Buddha's asana. Especially you come across vipassana, the very heart of the Buddha's teaching. You see how many Buddhists in the Buddhist world is so huge. How many Buddhists really know about vipassana? Even those who know, they know only very shallow. They ask them, what is vipassana? Rising, falling. Yeah, so we have come across this teaching. So practice. Okay? Take this opportunity to practice to migrate out of woeful state, migrate out of samsara to the other shore where it's safe. Yeah. Okay, so vipassana pain is not due to imbalance of the elements. Right? Answer this one first. Okay, can you please elaborate a little on what is the heart base? This was mentioned in passing during the Dharma talk. Okay. You think of the heart base as like the seat of the mind. Okay? Yeah, the base of the mind. Now, but not all mind. Right? So this will be a bit technical. Okay? So in Abhidhamma, those of you who have studied, there are 89 chittas, right? 89 consciousness chitta. So actually 89 categories of chitta. So of this 89, okay, so there is the two-eye consciousness, which is wholesome resultant and unwholesome resultant. Okay? So the two-eye consciousness, when it arises depending on the eye base. Okay? So in our sensual world, when consciousness arises, it has to arise depending on some materiality. Okay, we call base materiality. So the eye consciousness arises depending on the eye base, which is actually the eye sensitivity. Okay? So and then there's two ear consciousness. Again, one is wholesome resultant, one is unwholesome resultant. Okay? So if wholesome resultant, you hear nice, beautiful sound. Unwholesome resultant, you hear terrible noise. So you meditate, and then the noise around, unwholesome karma. The ear consciousness hearing. So ear consciousness arises depending on the ear base, okay, which is the ear sensitivity. Okay? Then another two, nose consciousness depending on the nose base, okay, the nose sensitivity. Two more consciousness, tongue consciousness, arise depending on the tongue base, okay, the tongue sensitivity, okay, which is sensitive to taste. And then the bodily consciousness, two of them arise depending on the body base, the body sensitivity. Okay, so all together, this 10 consciousness, Dvipancha Vijnana, they arise depending on their respective sense base. Okay, that leaves how many consciousness? simple mathematics, Abhidhamma mathematics. 89 minus 10, 79. So the other 79, where do they arise? Based on what? They arise depending on the heart base. Okay? So so now heart base. Heart base actually hadaya watu. Hadaya means heart. Okay? Watu means base. Okay, so heart base. This is a name or a term that is used in the commentary. Okay, so now if you look in the Abhidhamma Pitaka, which is the canonical text, okay, so Buddha did not use this term heart base. Okay, so Buddha simply describe this materiality. Yam rupam nisaya mano dhatucha mano vinyana dhatucha vatanti. Okay, that materiality, depending on which the mind element and the mind consciousness element, mano vinyana dhatucha vatanti, they occur. So that materiality, depending on which the mind element and the mind consciousness element arise, occur. Okay? So mind element, mind consciousness element basically means that 79 citta. Okay? So other than the 10 sense consciousness. Okay? So Buddha did not point to a specific location. He just said that materiality depending on which the mind arises. Okay? Without naming any specific location. Okay? So in the commentary, like the Visuddhimagga, for example, they call this, and they explain this, they call this the Hadayawatu, the heart base. Yeah? And Visuddhimagga even explain, it says, is a certain volume of blood that is to found inside some cavity inside the heart. Okay? It's very specific. Okay? So the heart base is found inside the blood there, in the heart. So this has become the mainstream Theravada view of what is this materiality. Okay? So they call the heart base. Okay? But it seems that not all commentators agree with this. So now, according to Sayadaw Nandamala, there is a commentary. There is a tika, sub-commentary, where it defines hadaya, heart, as not literally the heart, but as the mind. Okay? Sometimes we refer to the mind as the heart, right? So we define when you say hadaya, actually it means the mind. So that means like mind base. Okay? So they said it's not actually the heart. Okay? So but it can be anything. Back to what the Buddha says. No specific location. Okay? So, no. But when it comes to practical meditative experience, okay? Now, when you are meditating, when your mind is very calm, peaceful, settled, free from the hindrances, so for the most part, you find that citta arise, the heart, for the most part. Okay, so it can be very peaceful. When you see the noting, mind is experiencing things. When you are noting, then you see where the experience is. You see closely, actually, from the heart. Okay, but your mind has to be very settled, clear, in order to see this clearly. Okay, but and this is usually when you are not meditating, when you are actively thinking, or even when you are meditating but restless, all chaotic in the mind. You look at that experience, you find it's more up somewhere here, in the brain somewhere. Okay. So that's why in Abhidhamma classes, Sayadaw said, when you're actively thinking, heart base here. Okay. When your mind is calm, peaceful, is here. Okay. You don't have to take my word for it. Next time you can check for yourself. You can meditate, or you be thinking. Check where is the experience coming from, the location of that experience, where the mind is experiencing the object. You can find out for yourself. Okay? So, but the mainstream Theravada view is that it's the heart. So, but Theravada, I see, is not there's no dogma. Okay, it's not set in stone. That's why in the commentary is actually, you can read the commentary. Sometimes can be very interesting. They have all this discussion and debate going on. This one say one view, another one say another. Then sometimes they discuss, they debate, back and forth. Okay, it's not set in stone. You see, yeah. So, but there is a mainstream view. Okay. Okay. And last one. It says the morning dana blessing chanting that Bhante recite. Can Bhante explain the meaning of the chanting? Okay. I'll give you the translation of Sayadaw Silananda. Okay? That's why I have to bring this out. Chanting. Okay. So that chanting that I do in the morning is taken from the one of the 11 paritas. Huh? So you know the 11 paritas? Don't know. It's from the Burmese tradition. Right? So there are 11 parita compiled together in a book. So whenever we recite parita, it's usually from this book. Okay, as the Mangala Sutta, Ratana Sutta, Metta Sutta, the call that the Khanda Parita, and so on. Dajaga Sutta, Attanatiya Sutta, Angulimala Parita, and so on. 11 all together. Okay, the last one is called Pubanha Sutta. Okay, it's from this Pubanha Sutta. Okay, that part of it. Okay, I did not recite the entire sutta, only the last part. Okay. So Pubanha Sutta. Pubanha means early morning. So in Burma, sometimes they call this Good Morning Sutta. Pubanha means early morning. So they chant it in the early morning and they say Good Morning Sutta. That's why I chant it in the breakfast dana. Okay, so so what I chant is Jayanto Bodhiya Mule Sakyana Nandi Vadano Eva Meva Jaya Hotu Jaya Sut Jaya Mangale. So this translation is from Sayadaw Utsilananda. So I said that joy enhancer, very big word. Nandi Vadano. Actually, it means the one who increases joy. Nandi Vadano. So Sayadaw translates as joy enhancer. Enhance the joy. Sakyanam Nandi Vadano, the joy enhancer of the Sakyas. Referring to the Buddha. Okay? So Buddha, when you see him, you increase your joy, enhance your joy. So the joy enhancer of the Sakyas was victorious. Jayanto, victorious. Bodhiyamula, at the foot of the Bodhi tree, the tree of enlightenment. So even so, may there be victory. May you attain joyous victory. Jaya. Jaya in Malay is what? Success. Here Sayadaw translate victory. In Pali. Almost the same. And Aparajita Palenke Sise Putu Vipukkale Abhiseke Sabba Buddhanam Ekapato Pamodati. So the joy enhancer of the Sakyas rejoices, having reached the highest state. That means complete, full, perfect enlightenment, self-enlightenment. Okay? So having reached the highest state at the spot which is undefeatable. That means at the seat under the Bodhi tree. Okay? At the spot which is undefeatable by Mara. Okay? He sat there, he was not defeated by Mara. He overcame Mara. Okay? So at the spot which is undefeatable, the best on the earth. The spot that is the best on the earth. So when you want to sit on the spot that is best on the earth, when you go Bodh Gaya, but you can only sit beside it. Maybe you go and actually sit only the earth will swallow you up. the best on the earth. Okay, and the consecration place of all Buddhas. Okay? Because it is said that all Buddhas, past, present, and future, they all attain enlightenment on that spot, that very same spot. No other spot on earth, only that place. So that's why I say it's consecrated by all Buddhas. Okay, and it is also said that only in our world system. Okay? So the Buddha can appear only in our world system and only in that spot. That's why last time the Sayadaw Usilananda said we have monopoly over the Buddhas. They cannot appear in any other world system. So all the Devas, the Brahmas from other world system, they want to learn Dhamma, they have to come to our world system. Okay. And Sunakatam Sumangalam Supabatam Suhutitam Sukhano Sumuhutocha Suitam Brahmacharisu. Okay? So on the day meritorious deeds are performed. Okay? So when you do dana, you perform meritorious deeds. So on such a day, so this one is a little bit you understand when I read. They say on such a day, when meritorious deeds are performed, the stars are auspicious. Blessings are auspicious. Daybreak is auspicious. Waking is auspicious. The moment is auspicious. And the time is auspicious. So, offering made to the holy ones, the brahmachari. Brahmachari means those who are practicing the spiritual practice. So the monks and even yogis, developing your spiritual practice. So you are called brahmachari. So it's translated as the holy ones here. So not the Aryas. So offering made to the holy ones on such a day are well offered. And then usually people, Buddhists offer this dana to even the monks who are practicing as a representative, because you do not know who the real Aryas are, right? So therefore, you take the Sangha as like a representative. Okay? So then Padakinam Kayakamam Vachakamam Padakinam Padakina Manokamam Panidite Padakine. So on such a day, all bodily action are felicitous. Means very suitable, very appropriate. And all verbal actions are felicitous. All mental actions are felicitous. These three kinds of action are established in felicity. And then the last one, Padakina Nikatwana Labantate Padakine Te Atalada Sukita Virulha Buddha Sasane Roga Sukita Hota Saha Sabbihinyatibi. So people do good actions and therefore get good results. Having obtained good results and growth in the dispensation of the Buddha, the Buddha Sasana, may you have bliss and be free from disease and be happy together with all your relatives. So this is the meaning of the chanting. Then the second question, in the Karaniya Metta chanting, what are the qualities that a yogi should possess to be able to develop metta effectively? Okay. Yes, also here. So the Metta Sutta background of it, you all may already know. There's a group of monks just before the Vassa requested Buddha for some meditation instruction. Okay? So then once they received this instruction, they went to this place, which is like kind of forest or something, okay, to meditate. Spend 3 months of the Vassa retreat. Okay? But as soon as they enter Vassa, they were disturbed by the tree spirits, because they were sitting underneath the tree, right? So the tree spirits were there, and the tree spirits, according to the law of their realm, okay, when there's a holy person there, they cannot be higher. So they have no choice. Even though the tree mansion was so nice, beautiful, they had to come down to the basement. So they were not happy, of course. So they thought, disturb the monk, so that when they are afraid, they will run away. Okay, so the monk was disturbed, and then they actually ran away back to the Buddha, and asked permission to spend Vassa another place. But the Buddha refused. Buddha says, there is no other place more suitable for you than that very spot. So Buddha sent them back. But Buddha, before sending them back, Buddha taught them this Karaniya Metta Sutta. Okay, so and instructed them to send metta, to the three spirits that are residing in that place. Okay, so this sutta was actually given to monks. Okay, so that's why you see the instruction there. Okay, some of it are for monks. Okay, but you can also, with appropriate change, apply it to your life as a layman also. Because when you practice, you come to a retreat center like this, you observe 8 precepts. You are more or less like one who have renounced the world. Okay, more or less. Yeah, 8 precepts. Yeah, just like a monk, you don't eat after midday, right? Then you don't listen to music. You don't dance. You don't sing. You don't watch movie entertainment. You don't beautify yourself. Okay? So you use very simple seats and beds, right? So only one thing you don't have, or rather one thing that is different, you still have money in your pocket. Okay, but then also because you are meditating, that's like a monk in a retreat. Okay, well, I think is that the monk's precepts are more refined. So actually the 8 precepts, you add in one more. You break the 7 precepts into 2 parts, and then you add one more. The precepts abstaining from keeping money, right? So you get the 10 Samanera precepts. Okay, and then the monks' precepts, the Patimokkha, the 227 is actually a refinement of these 10 precepts, a more refined elaboration, okay, of the 10 precepts. So there are many more things we cannot do. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so back to the story. So Buddha taught them this Metta Sutta, told them how to radiate metta, send them back. So they went back to that place. So they carry out the Buddha's instruction. They radiate metta. Okay? Then after that, when the spirits they felt the metta, then they become more understanding. Then instead of being hostile to them, now they help them, support them in their practice. Okay? Then they could pass the 3 months of the vasa, then meditating, and then even attain arahantship. Okay? Okay. So at the beginning of the Metta Sutta, the Buddha lists out the certain qualities that the yogi must have before practicing metta, okay, or any type of meditation. Okay? So it says, he who wants to dwell penetrating the state of calm. So the state of calm here refers to nibbana. Okay? So nibbana is the state of absolute peace. It's the unconditioned peace. Okay? So it doesn't arise, doesn't disappear. It's just absolute peace. Okay? So here it's called santam padam, the state of calm. Okay? State of peace. Santam actually peace. Okay? So he who wants to dwell penetrating state of calm, nibbana, and who is skilled in his good. Okay? Skilled in his good means you are skillful. Dana, sila, bhavana. So you are skilled in carrying out this practice. So you should practice the 3 kinds of training. So he should be able. He should be upright. Okay? Very upright. Okay? And so you must be very honest, in other words. Okay? When you pursue spiritual practice, you have to be very honest. Okay? You are not honest, then sometimes you even you bluff yourself. Okay? So a little bit, I arahant already. Then you think I'm arahant. So then when you think like this, then you stop your practice already. So you have to be honest, really take a good look. So what defilements are still remaining? You have to acknowledge honestly. Okay? Don't say, I'm very pure, I'm very wise. Take a good look at yourself. Able, upright, very upright, obedient. Okay? So you practice under a teacher, you have to be obedient. So teacher say, do A, you do A. You don't say, do A, you do XYZ. So Because if you don't not obedient, you don't follow instruction, you go on your own way, on your own path, then you cannot get the benefit of the practice, the benefit of the experience of the teacher. Okay? Then gentle. Okay? So gentle also, the mind gentle. Okay? So the mind is gentle, physically, verbally also you become gentle. Your noting mind also become gentle, not hard, rigid, gentle, and not conceited, not arrogant, proud. So you practice like this, arrogant, proud. Usually you don't practice seriously anymore. Okay? You think too highly of yourself. Okay? Then you don't really practice seriously. You think you're already somewhere up there. Those hard work, striving for other people, I already somewhere conceited. Right? Then you cannot progress. You should be contented. Santusako, contented. Easy to take care of. Okay? So you come to a meditation center to be contented with whatever facilities are there. Okay? As long as it is usable, you use it. So easy to take care. You don't say go to the committee, say, hey, this one no good, that one no good, you must have this, have that. Very difficult to take care. This one applies to monk, but can apply to lay people also. Okay? So have few activities. Apakicho. You come to meditation, you must not have many activities. Okay? Actually, you should have only one activity every moment, nothing. That's all. Only one activity, nothing else. So, last time as yogi who come for retreat, everybody meditating in the hall, she's missing. I went to the room. She's working on the computer. Even coming to a retreat, cannot let go of the work. That's why I take away all the phone, the tablet, everything. You want to come, seriously practice. So you must give up all that work. Okay? Do only one work. The work of noting. So few activities. Okay? Sometimes yogi come to a center, and the mind is bored, they find things to do. Go to the kitchen, do something very complex recipe, or don't know what they are doing. So make drinks for the teacher. Oh, you are thirsty, go. So when you are meditating, you should not do all this. Okay? You should only focus on your practice. Okay? There will be other people who can take care of the teacher. Don't worry. There's volunteers around in the retreat. Okay? You take care of your meditation. Don't go and find activities to do. Of course, there are certain activities that need to be done. Like, let's say, not enough volunteers. Then after breakfast, sweep the floor a bit. Some will clean the toilet and so on. But you don't go and find extra. Oh, the fan is dirty. Where can I find the ladder? Aircon dirty. Go and clean the filter. That is extra. Okay. We only expect you to sweep the floor and mop the floor. That's it. Okay? So few activities. and salahuka buddhi, have light living. That means have few possessions. Okay, so you come to a retreat, you bring only what is absolutely necessary for the retreat, and nothing more. Okay, so don't bring a whole carload of your possession. Some even bring dehumidifier, their own. Bring pillow and all that. I understand. Sin yogis will bring bolster. So bring only what is really necessary. So few possession. This also actually apply to monks, because the life of a monk is you move around, so you have too many things. Very difficult to move around. Okay, so okay, then Santindriya, be controlled in his senses. So you meditate, you must first control your senses. That's why the basic instruction: not seeing, seeing; when you see, when you hear, not hearing, hearing; smelling, smelling; tasting, tasting; touching, touching; thinking, thinking. Restrain senses with mindfulness. Experience everything through the sense door with mindfulness intact. Okay, then the senses are controlled. The senses don't incline outside, they incline inside. Okay. Then what? Nipako. He should be wise. Okay. Must know what is suitable, what is not suitable. So must be wise. What constitute the precepts, what constitute killing, what does not constitute killing, what constitutes stealing, and what does not constitute stealing, and so on. You know all this clearly. Okay, I mean, there's some knowledge about the practice. Okay, so not impudent. Apagabo. That means not disrespectful. Okay? So when you're disrespectful, your mind is very hard, rigid, stiff. Okay? When you're respectful, your mind is humble, is soft, it's bent with faith. So, and not be greedily attached to family. This one is more for monks. Okay, so monks must not be too near to a family, and become like friends. So this one usually because you want to get more support, so you ingratiate yourself to the lay person, which is something that is frowned upon by the Buddha. Okay, Buddha says a monk must be like Venerable Mahakassapa. Mahakassapa, Buddha compare him to the full moon. Full moon is very nice, beautiful. Everybody look at the full moon, their heart feel calm, peaceful, they're happy. Okay? But the full moon is high up in the sky, far away from everybody. Okay? That's how Mahakassapa is. Everybody look at him, the Arahant, very restrained, aloof. Okay? But when they look at him, they rejoice. Okay? So not greedily attached to family. Okay? And he should not commit any slight wrong. Okay? Even a little infraction of the sila, even almost break the precepts also. Some people say, the ants come, I just tiak. I didn't kill, it's still alive. Okay. But you make it suffer already. So when your heart is really gentle, you don't even do that, right? You gently take it away or something. Okay. So you should not commit any slight wrong, by doing which he might be censured by the wise man. Okay. So this is the qualities a yogi should have before practicing meditation. Okay? Then from that point onwards, in the sutta, is about developing metta. Okay, that's all the question we have. Any more question? Yes. Mind purification, you mean citta visuddhi? Yeah, citta visuddhi is only temporary. Temporary put away the 5 hindrances. Okay? So at that time, all the hindrances, including sensual desire, is like suppressed by the jhana factors. Okay? So they cannot arise. But still anusaya is there. Okay? Anusaya is untouched by that. Okay? The latent defilements is untouched. Only the obsessive defilements, pariyutana kilesa, is prevented from appearing. Okay, so you are not totally beyond sensual desire, because the latent tendency towards sense desire is still present. Okay, and that one can only be eradicated through the wisdom of the third path, Nagami Magga Jnana. Okay. Yes. Oh, very long. This is just like your mind. Okay. Some Buddhists are reluctant to report on any wrongdoing of their colleagues, which can cause harm to the company or the organization. This is what for breaking the 4 precepts. Meaning they tell lies. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so if another person is doing something wrong, so it's not that you cannot totally tell on them, okay? So that precepts of the what I call the divisive speech. That one is only your intention is to cause a break in the relationship. Okay, that means it's an evil intent. Okay, so and usually in that case is they tell lies in order to break the relationship. Okay, so must be sunavacha. So now, but if something that is true, okay, and as you said, is what cause harm. So if you want to report, yes, but you must have the wisdom. First of all, you must check your own mind. Are you doing it? What is the intention? Okay, intention is to, like in politics, intention is always not pure, right? Is to make your political opponent suffer. It's not for the good of the people. Right? It only appears so. So then of course that is unwholesome. Okay. So but if your intention is pure, it's gonna cause harm. Okay. Then if you yourself do not know how to deal with that, then you must go to somebody who can. Okay. But you have to make sure your mind is pure. So you have to do it discreetly. So sometimes you see, you can aggravate the situation by, I say, washing dirty linen in the public. There must be discreet. Maybe go quietly, tell. But you also have to protect yourself. You must have the proof. Right? You don't have the proof, people may not believe you, and then even worse. Okay? That's why some wisdom is necessary. So it's not that you totally cannot, like you go escalate to the next level. Buddhas within the Sangha also, sometimes a monk misbehave and the other monks saw it, they also bring it up to the Buddha. See? And then the Buddha will summon the monk who misbehaved, and then ask them, do you do such and such a thing? And so on. Then they will admit it, and then the Buddha laid down a new Vinaya rules. That's why so many Vinaya rules. Okay? Because the monk, either the monk or some lay devotees keep bringing up all the misbehavior of the monks to the Buddha. Okay? And on account of this, the Buddha laid down the Vinaya rules to protect the Sangha. Okay? So it's not that you totally cannot. Okay? But you have to make sure it's the truth first. And you must make sure your intention is pure. Okay? You're not trying to do harm to the other person. Okay? You're thinking about the good of the organization or the people, the society. Okay? But in doing good also must do with wisdom. Okay? Otherwise, sometimes you have good intention, but without wisdom you can cause more harm than good. Okay? You may cause, you may escalate it and it go out of control, and then the whole society start to quarrel among each other. Okay? So you must be very, very discreet. Right? Okay. Then, can historian learn or practice vipassana as their life is focused on going into the past and future? That's only when they are studying history. When they practice vipassana, come to the present. So, no problem there, no issue. It's not that they are always in the past. You practice it, bring it to the present, finish. Right? Okay. Okay, I think 10 o'clock already. So, we conclude this retreat by making aspiration. We pay homage, pay respect to the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, to the with our practice of the Dhamma. We pay homage, respect Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, parents, teachers. You made aspiration. These merits of the practice will be a condition to help you purify your mind from all the asavas, and help you to realize Maggaphala and Nibbana, and you share merits with all beings, and wish them well, happy and peaceful. So we recite the last part of the metta chanting at night. Imaya. You have the chanting sheet. Is there these ropes that they want to offer, is it? Yeah, those ropes that they want to offer. Then you should make all offering first before you share merits.